What is going on, guys? Welcome back. Probably sound a little bit different here. I'm out in my family room playing Madden 20 beta. Interestingly enough, into my franchise here, looking at the Raiders, which is a game I'm going to be going to. So I'm greeted with the weekly awards. It looks like the NFC Offensive Player of the Week was Matt Ryan. Went 27-37, 406 passing yards, 5 TDs, 1 interception, 3 sacks. Defensively, Aqib Talib with 8 tackles, 2 interceptions. AFC Offensive Player of the Week was going to be Andrew Luck, 29 of 38, 324 yards, 4 passing TDs, 3 sacks, 3 carries, 7 yards, and 1 rushing touchdown. Williamson, the middle linebacker for the Jets, was your Defensive Player of the Week, 12 tackles, 2 sacks. So interestingly enough, I have not seen any more of my beat reporter. I have a whole bunch of players that want to negotiate, but regardless, I'm going to go ahead and simulate the training, which should tell you all you need to know about training. I'm going to do, I'm going to try to do a full game here and go through, all the pros and cons. You guys are probably going to get to hear my dryer go off as well. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and select the Colts. Key players, Andrew Luck, T.Y. Hilton, Darius Leonard. The Raiders show Antonio Brown, Rodney Hudson, and LaMarcus Joyner. It's a 76 overall versus an 80 overall. Probably important for you guys to understand. This is not, at least from what we've been told thus far, adjusted rosters. So looking at the new load screens, it looks like Frank Wright, as always with franchise, is showing the goals that you have set for you. Your wide receiver comparison has Antonio Brown versus T.Y. Hilton. Your safety comparison is LaMarcus Joyner versus Malik Hooker. The load times, I don't want to say that they're better. They actually seem like they might be a little shorter, but that could be because we get some information thrown up ahead of us and some new backgrounds. Quarterback comparison, Carr obviously, and Luck. As far as the intros, 4K, I'm on a 75-inch Vizio, so the 4K up is good. I mean, any game in 2020, should look graphically stunning as long as it's made by a AAA company. So this game is really no different. Going through the outside here, Lucas Oil Stadium, Brandon Gaulden, Charles Davis on the call. The commentary already very repetitive. The intro from last year where the horse that the Colts run out of is the same. I will say when you're looking at these intros, more so when you're looking at the cutscenes, the visual of the body types not changing is so noticeable. I mean, right now I'm looking at, Jacoby Brissett, everyone right out on the field, and you can tell there's only about 3 or 4 body types. Secondarily, when you watch the Raiders run out, it's very noticeable as well. So probably something, we talked about in the past they need to work on. It's one of those things, maybe you don't notice it right away, but you do notice it once it happens. The parking lot conveniently not full here for the Colts game, but I digress. The Colts are going to receive the ball, which is obviously me. I'm going to go ahead and run out to midfield and got out to about the 26-yard line. To me, the feeling of the game, like I talked about, is a lot more smooth, very seamless. They're going through right now the quarterback kind of load screen for Andrew Luck, shows his 2019 stats. He's kind of dancing the jig for some reason. The bottom scroll still has all your teams, like we talked about. The top, the way they've elected to do the scoreboard is just a little bit off-putting. My weekly game boost on offense is that I'll have a boost when calling spacing plays. On defense, I'll have a boost on cover man 2. I've always elected to just continue to do those, and I think for right now, I'm just going to go ahead and see what the game wants me to do as far as coaches pick. The first choice is going to be the tight end angle. My hot read is going to be to Jack Doyle. So there's a little bit of mannerism here at the beginning where Andrew Luck is kind of motioning around. The middle linebacker there didn't react at all. I was able to go ahead and get out in the open field with my slot receiver. The middle linebacker there is number 54. I'm not exactly sure who's adjusted on these rosters or if there are any adjustments, so I don't know who that is. Second play is going to be a pitch to the outside. As I mentioned in my prior video, I've lost my running back, so I had to go and rely on Nyheim Hines as well. So Nyheim Hines just got out in the open field because the run blocking is much improved this year. But as always, much improved means it can be overpowered. So Nyheim Hines picked up, let's see, I probably got the pitch at the 30, up to the 40, to the 45, 50, probably down to the 45-yard line on the opposing side. So we've already moved into the Raiders territory here. The passing suggestion is going to be a flood. My hot read is going to be to Eric Ebron, but I'm probably going to look quickly to T.Y. Hilton. drop back, double team block in the front doesn't look too bad. Nobody's really open. I'm going to go ahead and rush with luck because the corner on the left-hand side vacated that entire side of the field. I'm able to run with luck up and get a first down just past the marker, so that's going to put us at the 31-yard line. Next play they're going to call is an inside zone. So it looks like the Raiders have came out with two safeties deeper than they should be. So go ahead and get the ball. The safety came down rather quickly, but also what happened was the line disengaged extremely quick and pretty much put me in a situation where there was no blocking, and I got tackled immediately by a defensive lineman. So it's strange. They went from a double team. The lineman peeled off like he was going to go to the second level for some reason, even though the block wasn't complete, and then put me in a position where I had nothing to do but be hit. It's now calling for a 2nd and 11. Spencer Ware is in, and we're going to run a halfback screen. I mentioned before, halfback screens seem to be dominant in this game, even against X factors. In this case, it looks like the blocking downfield was nearly perfect. The safety comes off a block of a wide receiver. I get down to the 12-yard line, and Spencer Ware is hurt on the play, holding his chest. It's probably a leg injury, so don't get too concerned. But now I'm down to backup running backs. Backup of backup running backs. In the red zone, it's calling me to run a play action, PAY glance, which is absolutely absurd. I'm at the 12-yard line. I don't think a play action would be necessary here. I'm going to go ahead and run the ball anyway, and we'll see what happens. I believe I have Jordan in there, or maybe Wilkins, and I do, and he is going to get stopped right at pretty much the line of scrimmage again, situation where blocking doesn't really hold true. Linebacker came down quickly to initiate a tackle. It's 2nd and 11, and we only have, I'm trying to see here, we only have about 3 minutes left in the first half. So I'm going to go ahead and audible out here to double slants. I'm going to look for Ebron in the slot. Ebron has a linebacker on him based on the formation that the Raiders came out with. The zone coverage here is atrocious. I throw the ball with the dead eye marker, and I get the ball down just about to the 2-yard line. It's now 3rd and inches, and Spencer Wares came back with a bruised sternum, so at least he was holding the correct place. He will be able to not come back for this game, and we'll go ahead and substitute in LeGarrette Blount, who I signed as a free agent once I lost Marlon Mack. I'm going to come out with Blount in a power formation here at the goal line. I'm on the 2-yard line. It's 3rd and inches. We're going to go ahead and run, and of course the blocking down at the goal line is the same as it would be at the 50-yard line, unfortunately, and I'm able to go ahead and get it down to the 1. It's now 2nd and goal. I'm hoping that they're going to ask me for, or at least call for, a quarterback sneak. They don't. They do have the fullback dive suggested, so I'm going to go ahead and run the fullback dive and see if Ebron, who's lined in as my fullback, can't get through. Blocking, I mean, literally, there was a lineman at the 3-yard line. He got blocked out of the way so bad in terms of he got pressure, but the block was set so I could run past. Ebron easily gets in for a touchdown. It's going to be 6-0 for the Colts. Go ahead and kick the extra point here and see what the Raiders can do on defense. Or no, excuse me, on offense. They didn't do much on defense for that matter, so let's hope they can get something going offensively. Vinatieri's going to kick the ball deep, even though generally he hasn't been handling the kickoff duties. His kick meter here has the ball going well out of the end zone, so the Raiders have plenty of people back there, but nobody that can actually field a ball. We're going to go ahead and get a vignette here of Derek Carr running out with Antonio Brown, and we'll go ahead and see what they have to do on offense. The huddle is gone, so you're pretty much just drawn right to the line of scrimmage. And for that matter, when you're running no huddle, it's extremely awkward because it just throws you back to the line of scrimmage. Their first play is going to be a play action. They get Wilson down about 10 yards. They're actually going to call it 2nd and inches. Again, I'm going to use computer suggested plays. They're calling for a lot of zone coverage as cover 2. I'm going to press the coverage down. Jabal Shear is who I'm user controlling. They do a pitch to the outside. The zone coverage reacted well. Clayton Gaithers and myself came down to disrupt the timing of that play. It has them at a 3rd and 3. There's a minute left in the first quarter, and they are back lined up in shotgun. They're doing a screen. There's pressure brought back to Carr. They can't complete the screen. The ball's overthrown, which is odd because they had all their blockers out front. So all he really needed to do was throw out a lofty pass and would have easily got the first down, if not, well, very likely much more than that. So their first possession is going to end in a punt. I'm going to have T.Y. Hilton back, who's going to recover this at the 20, maybe the 15-yard line, breaks out to the right. Open field is quickly lost. He gets stopped at about the 32-yard line. And they have obviously now went a 3-and-out on their first possession. We have the ball back. It's telling me that I should do an inside run with Blunt, even though the power side of the offense is not actually shown when I bring my box back. It shows that that was the red side. Now, we had talked about this in some prior videos. The red side does not seem the way to go, but it also doesn't seem to have a real impact. So first run there gets me out about 6 yards. They go through the vignette of the offensive line, which I skipped out of, and now it's telling me to do a halfback draw, which, doesn't seem like that bad of an idea given the spacing of the defense. They come out in a 4-3. So blocking here is horrible. The run actually could have been very successful, but my center elected to go with a double team instead of trying to move upfield. So it left me in a position to run right into a linebacker. It's now 3rd and 7. It's calling for a pass play. The hot read is going to be to Ebron, but I'm probably going to look for Doyle or Hilton. I'm going to hot route Hilton into a curl and see if he can't get out to where he needs to be. He does. He actually turns upfield in an animation glitch, and he is down to the 45-yard line, and really a pass that should have only went for about 7 yards ended up going for about 12. That's the end of the first quarter. Defensively, the Raiders have not posed much of a threat, so they're calling slants now here for the opening play of the second quarter. I'm going to scramble out of the pocket and look to hit Ebron. Instead, it looks like I'm going to have to go into a replay, even though I had run Deadeye on the run initiate or engage. The safety actually shifts down and caused an interception, even though he wasn't in position when I was throwing it to be back there. So LaMarcus Joyner is the player that did it. Eric Ebron is a much larger player than Joyner. He has position, and as the ball comes in, rather than go for a catch animation, he stutters his feet and drops his hands. And it's very plain to see because T.Y. Hilton is directly behind him, and T.Y. Hilton does none of this. So T.Y. Hilton actually goes from trailing Ebron to catching him to passing him when Ebron stutters, and that stutter allows him to let the pass go in uncontested. He never actually goes for a catch animation. Instead, he goes into a tackle animation as if they knew the pass was going to get intercepted. The Raiders now have the ball at, I would say, the 28. They're going to call it the 30-yard line. So we're going to come out with a cover 3-man press. We're not really seeing much of Antonio Brown, so I'm a little interested, especially with our kind of generic corners here. Actually, I have a really good defensive play there. The line ran a stunt, and one of my interior linemen jumped, although odd, he was completely disengaged, jumped and actually deflected the pass. So they're calling for a blitz here on the second down. The blitz is extremely effective on what was a delay handoff, and it is now going to be, I can't see because my beta code is in the way, 3rd and 10. So now we're calling for a standard cover 3. Carr drops back from shotgun, throws over my corner right there. I have no earthly idea what he just did. So we're going to go back and take a look at that as well. So 3rd and down, they have been extremely inept on offense today, and basically comes out here, jams the receiver. The jam does not go through. He drops back into his zone, and then after the ball is thrown, well after the ball is thrown, rather than having him turn upfield, Wilson instead starts to do this strafe pop like I've talked about, where he literally is looking back at the quarterback with Antonio Brown clearing back behind him, and rather than defend the pass or put himself in a position to defend the pass or pursue back to the wide receiver or realize that he's given up contain, he pops his legs and hips over, almost like a gallop, if you will, and completely gives up position. Antonio Brown does a nice catch on the sideline, but because the animation was so elongated for him to do this catch, it allows Malik Hooker over to the sideline and actually also gives Wilson an opportunity to catch Antonio Brown, if that shows you how long that animation played out. So both of them end up pushing him out of bounds right at about the 45-yard line. It's telling me to come out in a cover 3 press again, so we'll go ahead and see what the defense does here. Overall, I can tell you I don't see much of a difference between playing the Raiders as any other team that I had played. They do another draw play and are stuck. Well, I guess they gained about 2 yards. It didn't seem like they did, but if they're going to give them 2 yards, then that's fine. The line here, I have no idea what just took place. So they did a play action pass, and they have a X Factor center. Let me go back and take a look at what in the world this center just did. all I noticed was that the center was running in a circle. So Hudson comes out and there's no one to block. So he actually runs in a complete circle and then comes back all the way around to find a double team on Margus Hunt, who was already in a double team, or was, excuse me, already being blocked by Richie Incognito. So that center spin is something a lot of games have trouble with. Even Access Football has problems with their center spinning. I don't know what the program logic is there, but it's almost like they don't drop back far enough. Second play is a wide open Antonio Brown X Factor who's now engaged for some reason down to the 1 yard line. So we'll go back and take a look real quick at how coverage broke down on that. We were in a zone coverage again, but it's interesting that he would get that wide open. So taking a look at what happens here, let's see, that linebacker was in position but doesn't drop back deep enough. The safety continues to drop back. So here's Malik Hooker's problem: when the corner doesn't actually pick it up, the linebacker isn't back far enough either. He continues to drop back. He's at the 5 yard line as Antonio Brown makes his cut, and he continues to drop back. He actually doesn't make his cut to react, and that is probably timed with the pass. Nope, the ball was actually already in the air, so it actually looks worse when you view it that way. So the pass had been released for, maybe 2 or 3 seconds. Malik Hooker is still dropping back. Let me take a look at the other corner. You know what's even worse about this is Clayton Gaithers and him react at the same exact time, even though they're very different position on the field. So they don't react to the ball that's going to be caught by Brown. Basically, let's say he catches it at the 3 yard line, but at the 10 yard line, they should have been clamping down on him. He catches it about the 3. Gaithers is actually in better position since he's running from left to right to tackle him. There's no attempt for him to dive or push this ball into the end zone. And ironically enough, when Hooker comes over, he doesn't even try to tackle him. He just kind of falls into the ground as if the pursuit wasn't there. The end result is going to be the 1 yard line. They're going to tell me to run a Sam blitz here. They come out in a goal line formation, and I have a feeling they're probably just going to power the ball in here. They actually go for a pass, which is surprising, and they catch a pass over the middle there with the tight end, and there's a very inappropriate, we'll call it. I don't know what that celebration was. There was a reverse bear hug that was applied, and then there was an arm gyration that just not in mixed company, guys. So here we go, point after attempt, all scripted. As always, you can tell right away when you get it, when you don't. It's going to be a tie game here in the second, 3 minutes and 23 seconds left to go. The Colts are going to get the ball, obviously. I believe T.Y. Hilton is still deep for me, so no, it's Hines, and he's going to watch the ball go out of the end zone. I've seen so many kickbacks here touchbacks rather, with the new rules. It seems, even the past year, it's just been kind of pointless to have anyone back there. They're going to tell me to do a play action here, kind of a bubble out to Ebron. Instead, I think I'm going to look at Hines because there is no one covering outside. Hines gets up to the 35-yard line, pretty much uncontested. I was in the open field there, but there was no one close as far as bringing me down. Hines is going to stay in the game for some reason. Blunt didn't get hurt. At 2nd and inches, they're going to call a draw, and Hines is going to get the ball and run it up about 3 yards. I'm surprised that they don't do a better job at knowing when you're in those positions that you want to have your power back in. They're telling me to run across here. Ebron is going to be my hot receiver. The linebacker comes over and can't do anything. He then disengages the zone coverage in the middle. Ebron gets the ball, runs out, breaks a tackle for the cornerback, and runs up to the 45-yard line. It's going to be 2nd and 3. And they're calling for me to do the play action wide glance, which they've attempted about 4 times. We're going to go to the 2-minute warning here. I'm going to go ahead and actually run the play if they bring it back up. And interestingly enough, they don't. It's not there. They're telling me to run double slants or 4 verticals. So we'll run 4 verticals here. The safeties are way off. We'll try to see maybe if we can't get Hines underneath again, kind of work his way out to the flat, and that's exactly what happens. I hit the wrong button and go for Ebron. He gets in a crazy catch animation where he leaped like he needed to go up and catch this when he didn't. and then just gets chucked in the air by the defender. It's minute 54 seconds left. All teams have both their timeouts. They're telling me to run a draw to Hines. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Hines gets wide open in the middle of the field, gets out to about the 50-yard line. I'm going to try to run a little ball control here and see if we can't preserve what little time we have left while preventing them from having any time to go down and score. It's telling me to run slants again, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Sometimes you can get good luck on these slants if you roll out with luck, but this is also how I got picked. Looks like downfield Hilton is wide open. The reason he was wide open is the corner that was protecting Ebron, rather than flow with the play, elected to stop. And as soon as he stopped, I was able to throw it pretty much on a dime to Hilton, who caught it one-handed before sliding out of bounds. It leaves a minute 23 seconds left on the 31-yard line and saves me from using a timeout. We're going to go ahead and do a draw here with Hines again because the defense is just playing so far back. All I need to do is get that double team block. Hines wide open field, gets it up to about the 25-yard line. So we're going to do the no huddle here in just a moment. It's calling for me to do a screen now on every sense of what I should do. Every play was screen, screen, screen. Hines is going to get good blocking up front. But of course, the one player that's not blocked is able to get back in the backfield. So we're going to do a no huddle here on a 3rd and 9. There's 38 seconds left. The clock is still running. I'm going to audible out to slants. I'm going to bring Hilton over on a slant to try to catch him over the middle of the field. I've also got Rodgers crossing, so it's really going to determine the look of this middle linebacker here. Linebacker drops back, elects to go over. He's actually left Hines wide open. Hines, I throw it down to him, but I think he's a little bit tired at this point. Some people had asked about the fatigue. Did it really factor into the game? And I would say yes. In a way it does, but no more than it did last year. So I'm going to call a timeout here with 10 seconds left. I wonder if they're going to try to ice the kicker, Vinatieri, coming out for a 40-yard field goal. Now, I already had a timeout called, so there's 9 seconds left in the game. The kick looks like it's going to go off uncontested, and so Vinatieri is going to put it through here. There's 6 seconds, 5 seconds actually to go. It is a 10-7 lead for the Colts. We're going to try to kick the ball a little shallow here. It's hard to determine where shallow needs to be in order to accommodate this. Shallow puts us at the 5-yard line, so that should actually be just about perfect. 4, 3, 2. I mean, sometimes the timing of these things really, really annoys me. So a 3-second kick return. I'm going to drop my coverage back. There's 2 seconds left. They're coming out as if they're going to kneel it, but I don't know that they are. It'd be nice if they didn't, but they do. We're going to go to the halftime show. You see Derek Carr going from the middle of the field to the sideline where they're doing like a cut scene of him running off. So that, again, that come down to detail. Taking a look at the halftime stats, 7-10, obviously 78 passing yards for the Raiders, 95 for the Colts, and it goes right to the halftime report, so I can't see it. It brings up the country. It takes us to Tennessee versus Atlanta. It shows us that game is 7-7 with 18 seconds left. There's no highlights. It's just stats, and it's staying on the screen longer than my stats did. So now it's going to go over to the Giants and Redskins. Redskins 13-3. Aaron Rodgers 7 for 13, 88 yards. Peterson 11 attempts, 43 yards, and it goes away before I can really read anything. Down to Carolina at Houston, 10-3, 48 seconds left in the second. Nothing about injuries, nothing about stats or records or anything. Just here's what the quarterback, running back, and wide receiver did. What if you had a linebacker that had a whole bunch of tackles? What if you had a tight end that was doing really good? Now it's showing the vignettes from the first half of the game. I'm going to obviously skip past that, and we're going to start the third quarter here. Obviously, if you, for some reason, just skipped forward to this, it's 10-7. Colts are winning. Raiders are going to get the ball. The ball now goes down to about the 5-yard line again, even though I got full kick power. There's going to be a double team hit at about the 35-yard line. So Ricard does not get it out to anywhere near midfield. We're going to come out here with a single safety. They're going to come out in an I formation. They fake a handoff. I've got collapsing pressure from Jabal Sheard on the right-hand side. They're going to stop the ball carrier close to, if not in the backfield, although they're going to call it 2nd and 10. They're coming out with a cover one press thief is my suggested play. Raiders are coming out with a single back, but have 2 wide receivers set to the right-hand side. They do a same exact concept there, where they delay the handoff. The running back then ran directly into the offensive lineman, number 77, got stuck on him for some time, and then couldn't release to the point that he got stopped at about a 4-yard gain. So now it's 3rd and 5. They throw the ball over the middle to a wide open tight end who drops it, even though there was no one near him. So that's going to bring up 4th and 5. I'm going to get the ball punted back with just under 5 minutes left to go in the third quarter. So I believe Hilton is probably still back as my kick returner. Yes, he is. The ball is set to go about 4 yards deep in the end zone. So we're going to go ahead and let that drop. It drops and basically just stops dead in the NFL logo. So with just under 5 minutes here, like we talked about, 4:50 left in the third, we're going to come out. The milestone is LeGarrette Blount here to get his first rushing touchdown. So let's do a run and see if Blount actually comes out. He does. Okay, so he hadn't been coming out before, but he is now. This is not a good time for a run play. They're all kind of jacked up at the line of scrimmage. So we're going to audible out to verticals. We're going to look for Jack Doyle or T.Y. Hilton. Drop back. Safeties drop back with it. Okay, I've got a wide open player, but I'm going to run the ball instead. I'm telling you guys right now, when you go to run with any type of quarterback and they're in zone coverage, those corners shade to the inside of the field, and it literally just let me pick up down to the 37 because those corners cutting over, it alleviates them the ability to use the sidelines to pinch me off. So instead of being able to go out, I'm actually able to cut back over, and it's so easy to run. I can't believe that they would allow that to happen. They're bringing the blitz here, and on verticals, again, drop back, I actually have the inaccurate pass pop up for that. So now we're going to go back at 2nd and 10 on the 37. They're going to ask me to give the ball to Blount. I'm going to audible this run from the right to the left. Really going to depend on blocking, but we've got things in place. For some reason, Blount goes to the wrong side anyway, as if he wasn't sure where the play was designed to go. He gets I thought he got positive yardage. The game says that he didn't. It's still 3rd and 7. They're calling me to run a spacing play here. So looks like we're going to have the slot receiver come over in motion, drop back. Blocking is good. I've got somebody wide open here, but I can't throw it because I've got somebody wrapped around me and I don't know why. So I wasn't actually watching the pressure breakdown. I was actually watching the play develop. So let's see how that pressure came through because they only brought 3 and I had 4 in to block. So, yep, guy fights off a double team. Who is this? Number 77. Who are you, number 77? Let me just double check. It is going to be Hurst. They do the piggyback blocking like we've talked about. It has to be resolved. Fights through the double team, and because they're piggybacked, it puts him in a position where he can go right back to the quarterback. So just to give you a visual concept here, I'm looking at 4 defenders. Every one of them is being held except the player that was double teamed. He is actually behind both players. One of them that is still up in a blocking formation as if he would block if there was someone to block. But because he's let the defender get behind him because of the way they actually handle themselves in pass blocking situations, the one player that should have had the least chance of getting to me is the one that did. And I just noticed I honestly feel like there's people wearing Chargers jerseys. They just did a crowd shot, and it seemed to me like somebody was wearing a Chargers jersey. It could have been a poorly laid out Colts jersey, but I digress. Rigoberto Sanchez here is going to punt the ball back. They're going to get it with less than 3 minutes in the third. I angle the punt over. It doesn't go to out of bounds. They've got Antonio Brown back to catch it. He catches it, and we've got our first flag. It looks like a face mask penalty. So, yep, the face mask on Nate Hairston, 15 yards. They show the sidelines that just look like claymation sometimes. So they're going to come out here with a back offset to the right. Inside run, probably going to net them. I don't know. Ricard has 2 rushes for 7 yards, so it's not like he's done a whole lot this game. I don't think Antonio Brown is on the field. Antonio Brown lined up in the slot, and I'm watching him just get wide open. They elect not to throw to him. Instead, they throw across the field to number 89, which I believe is Kendricks. And then now there's an awkward cutscene where Carr is walking on top of an offensive lineman that went into the ground trying to block for him. They're showing the catch and replay, and now they're back to the line of scrimmage with no huddle. Carr is kind of like motioning around, which is very strange because I've actually seen that. I've seen that out of Drew Brees. They actually do a wide receiver screen here, extremely unsuccessful. There's a flag down. I believe it's for an illegal man downfield, and it is. So Illegal man downfield. They post the penalty, and I will go ahead and decline it so that they'll have a 4th and 8. And oh my God, that lineman on the cutscene looks like an ogre. They have to get rid of these cutscenes for the sidelines or pull the coaches out further so I don't see like the blurry. It's bad enough that the sidelines look the way they do, right? Don't make it worse by making them like a Gaussian blur on them to project a different focus. So, it looked like the Geico caveman was standing beside my coach, but like the Geico caveman if you drank like 15 beers and he's just a big blur. Mesh spot is the play they're going to give me for first down. There's 1:20 left in the third. So realistically, if I wanted to be a jerk and play online, I could actually go through this and probably call it a day. There is another intercepted pass here. Now, this was strange because Mo Alley Cox was wide open. So I'm going to have to go back and look at exactly what happens. So Mo Alley Cox is running down the seam. He's got a linebacker on the left side of him. The linebacker starts when I say on the left, I mean he's to the outside. So I'm throwing inside position to Mo Alley Cox, and the corner has to fight, the linebacker has to fight through this. So as they go into a catch animation, it's clear that they both start shaking. So it's one of those tandem animations. Mo Alley Cox goes up as if he's going to catch this in the end zone, as if he's going to catch like a rebound. And when he does that, the linebacker is able to shift in between his body and kind of pull this down as if it was a fade. He almost plays it like it was a fade. That's the detriment of animations, and that's the detriment of double team tandem animations, but coming out through wide receiver and defenders. It's just, I don't know why they've done this for so long. It's absolutely canned. Once that animation started, and it was a horrible animation for where they were on the field, it was going to be an interception no matter what. So they come out now, Carr's moving around in the pocket like the worst mobile quarterback you could imagine. He ends up running back to the 48-yard line, so they lose 12 yards here on a sack, not because he was holding onto the ball, but because he was just standing in the pocket running backwards. He just did, this is the first, whether I realize it or not, that's the first pump fake that I've seen. Now I have another sack. This is where people talk about DDA. Just to be clear here, I had clearly an interception that was not correct. Okay, I can go back and look at it. If you guys could look at it, you would understand. Now I've had 2 sacks in a row after I don't believe having a sack the whole game. And it's going to be 3rd and 28. That's where people perceive the game messing things around. So it's 3rd and 28. They run a screen, and again, he cannot connect on a screen. I'm trying to think of a time I've seen an actual game where 2 screen passes have been underthrown. I don't know that it's ever happened. So with 6 seconds left to go in the third, they're going to punt the ball out. It looked like it was going to go out right where it needed to, but instead they're going to give it to me at the 29-yard line. That's very weird. They're calling for an inside run here. Really good blocking up front. I trick the corner by zigzag running just a bit. I get out about 12 yards upfield. So now that's going to bring us to 4th down. It's still 7-10 for those of you that might have lost track or skipped ahead. So we start the 4th quarter 7-10. Colts have the ball 45-yard line. They're telling me to run a pitch with LeGarrette Blount. I do. Linebacker out in front, or lineman rather out in front, doesn't pull a block, doesn't matter. I'm able to get the ball up. So that's 6 rushes, 36 yards for Blount, who, is starting to come on strong in the second half, but coming on strong as not a power back, but as a finesse back, which is not what I would ideally use him for. His inside runs prior to now had not been good. So when we start using Blount on the outside, it's a bit concerning to see it be so successful. I'm kind of letting the clock run down here as I talk to you guys. Go ahead and snap it. We're doing slants again. Over the top, Eric Ebron. I threw a beautiful, no pass trajectories has been one thing people talked about. A beautifully arced pass there that went right over the lineman, the linebacker. But the only reason it went over the linebacker was because he started to bite down as if he was going to pressure me, but he was so far away. There was no need for him to do that. The Colts now have the ball at the 20-yard line. There is just under 5 minutes and rolling on the clock. It's telling me to do another inside run with Blunt. This is where he struggled, and I won't say he struggles, but he only gets about 3 yards out of this. So that's 7 rushes, 40 yards, and I would say just about every negative rush has been an inside run. Hines is going to come in the game now. They're going to have him do an inside run. I'm going to let the clock drain out just a little bit before we snap it. Hines gets the ball. There is a shift for the linebacker where I had gotten into open field. The linebacker spun off the block and actually came back and tackled me. Doesn't matter. I get the first down. The advanced clock is now less than 4 minutes, and Luck is kind of slowly motioning up to the line. It looks like Blunt has came back in the game for another inside run. Big hole up the middle. Luck gets the ball down. I guess they're going to call that the 2-yard line. So now Blunt's doing rather well. I get a ball security, no interception to gain XP. They're telling me to gain XP, 2nd and 1 on the 2-yard line, leading by 3 in what's kind of been a close game, that what I need to do is not throw an interception. I don't know why I'd be throwing the ball here. I've been running the ball on them this whole time. I'm going to go ahead and go back to the play that worked in the beginning of the game, the fullback run, which was actually to Eric Ebron. Snap it. Ebron gets caught up by a defensive end and kind of does that thing where he starts to trip himself, where his feet, drop my controller there, where his feet kind of get clung together, and then he can't get out of the stumble animation to move forward at all. So he's going to stay, I guess he stayed at the line of scrimmage. It's now 3rd and 2 at the 2-yard line. They're going to ask for another inside run. I'm going to let the clock run just a bit here because I don't get it. Blunt actually gets spun down right at the goal line. So now 7-10. I'm going to get to the 2-minute warning unless they've called a timeout, which they haven't. So we're going to get them down to the 2-minute warning, and we're going to go ahead and kick a field goal here. 2-minute warning comes up. See a pan out of the stadium. And then, let's see here. It now shows pro reads, make consecutive passes for plus 5 yards in the air. So it's giving me how to initiate his pro read, but it's 4th down and I'm at the freaking 2-yard line. How in the world would I get 2 more pass attempts from where I am? So, I mean, X Factors can do a lot of great things, I suppose, from a player perspective, but the logic has to match the game. When you're telling me, hey, get 2 more pass completions, it's 4th down. You know, why would I even attempt that? So we're going to kick the ball back to them. 1:58 left in the game. The ball bounces off the transparent goalpost and hits the end zone. Priority alert comes up. I guess I didn't get an opportunity to read it. So, okay, here we go. Rack them up, make 20-plus receptions with Antonio Brown. So they're showing me that he could be getting his X Factor enabled with one more 20-yard pass. They run a screen this time that they complete, but they lose a yard because there was a little bit of a motion shift when they caught it. It looks like now they're going for an inside run, which is absolutely why would you do it? Why would you go from a screen where you lose yardage to an inside run? It's now 3rd and 7. They did call a timeout. They're coming out in a bunch set, single back, Carr dropped back and intercepted. That is a terrible interception. I'm telling you right now, I'm running in the back of Darius Leonard because he won't get out of my way. I could have taken that easily back for a touchdown to seal the game, but instead I'm literally space running into the back of my best linebacker. Pierre Desir got the interception, but I can tell you right now it was absolute garbage, even though it's me winning the game. Let's take a look at what happens here. Drops back. Who is he trying to force this ball to? Antonio Brown. So Antonio Brown runs a curl. Think about this. You have 2 timeouts, if not 1 timeout. You're running a curl to the middle of the field. At the 40-yard line, you're running a curl. And you've got to score a touchdown to win the game. Why? Pierre Desir basically works his way outside in to intercept this. There's no way that this happens in real life. So to set this for you, Brown comes out, runs the curl. Desir is on his left, okay? So there's plenty of open field to get this ball into a window on the right-hand side. Instead, what happens is Desir motion shifts in front of Brown. and then intercepts this because Brown gets this animation where he would catch it on the left side of his body. So it basically makes them switch the positions they were on the field only because of the catch animation that Brown got, which was totally unnecessary for that position. So because he went into that animation, it left the pass wide open. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take a screenshot of this. And if I can post it on my Patreon, I will. I'm going to try to do, I think it let me do it. I'm not sure. You know what? Let me try this. We're operating live here. I'm going to try this with my cell phone. Let me see if I can take a picture with my cell phone. Yeah. And honestly, as Desir intercepts this one-handed, by the way, his arm is through his own thigh and rump. So that seals it. I mean, that's definitely going to be the end of the game. I wasn't super on par with their timeout situation, but there's 1:23 seconds left to go. I'm going to go ahead and run the ball inside. And if I can get a first down, they're done. If I can't, they're probably still done anyway. So the inside run is not defended well. I get up about 8 yards. They call a timeout, but now it's at least going to be second and I can't see because my beta thing is in the way. 2nd and 2. They're calling for pass plays. We're going to do the Power Alert X Smoke. So that should give me Ebron blocking out front for Blunt. Really slow to the line again, even though there's no need to be because they've called a timeout. The block on the right-hand side is not held. It's instantly released, and they get the timeout right away. So now 3rd and 3, 1 minute, 15 seconds left in the fourth. We're going to try this jet sweep. The suggestion is to chew clock. They're coming out in a they're coming out in a they've got 4 linemen here. They've came out almost in like a wildcat-looking formation. There's a huge gap for me to run through. Ideally, let's see how it actually sets up. I've got 3 linemen over there. Receiver comes in motion, and they don't block anything. And now they get back into the backfield. So we're going to have about a 30-second difference on the play clock versus the game clock. So we're doing a cutaway here of the play that just happened. A 38-yard field goal is set up. I'm going to go ahead and let the clock drain here. So it's game clock is at 52, play clock is at 20. So if I can go ahead and get a little bit more time off the clock, I can pretty much have it sealed anyway, no matter what happens. But at this point, I just like the game to end, and I'm looking down at a 42-minute video, which is probably going to be the longest one you'll ever see on my channel that's not a collaboration. I'm going to call a timeout. I just looked down at my controller. I definitely hit timeout, and it didn't register. So we're going to get moved back 5 yards on this. It's going to be a 43-yard field goal attempt. No harm, no foul. Kicking in this game, way too easy. Ball is up through the uprights. So now it's going to be a 16-7 game with 28 seconds left. I'm going to kick the ball down in just a moment. Ball goes out of bounds. And now they're going to come out and they're going to try to get, looks like they're going to come out in a shotgun formation. They basically got 1 play left here, maybe 2. They throw it to the middle of the field, and I believe that is the fullback that caught it. The fullback catches it. They're trying to run back to the line of scrimmage, and they're not able to do so. That ends the game. So there you go. That is a full game commentary of the Colts and the Raiders. I get the win here in I guess I don't want to say a back and forth game, but the whole game, if you think back to it, or if you listen back to it even, the whole game hinged on the 3-sack possession that the Raiders had, where for whatever reason, they couldn't complete anything. That came after the interception that even playing it I knew was a little bit odd. So when I think back to the game, that's the defining moment. But to be honest, that seems extremely scripted. So I appreciate you guys checking out this video. I'm going to try to cash out before it's a 45-minute video. I will be back very shortly with more commentary.